Let's talk about this. We've gotten a couple of questions about it. For example, Eric gave in a super chat asking about the new Star Wars Outlaws trailer that just dropped. Let's see what this is about. Posted 4 hours ago from IGN. Let's see what we've got. It's only 1:49 long. It says, meet the planets. Akiva. Jungle. Toshara. Savannah planet. I've played in a number of these. I can talk about them momentarily. Kijimi? Yeah, the horse races. And Tatooine. And that's it. Easy peasy. Now, I've played in a number of these maps. I've never been to Akiva. This is the jungle planet. We didn't get to do any previews with this map or anything. So I've not ever seen that one or played through it, but it definitely seems to be very dense and lush. This is where you can see a lot of that Pandora tech they have coming into play. Toshara, this is the Savannah one. This is probably one of the first planets you go to, apparently, because when we did our preview session, it's the one that they said, like, this is the first few hours of the game, and we were playing through this. So I think this is one of the very, very first places you go to. It's very large, very open, and yeah, I mean, it's stuff like this, you know, very, very wide open. One of my concerns and things I just haven't seen answered or shown to my satisfaction is how they fill these big maps out, because obviously big open fields are great, but you'd still hope to like have some stuff to do. And sometimes like you can see people over here that are talking with each other. Maybe they have a quest to give. Maybe there's something that you could do with them. But in my experience, it's like way over here, there's a speed race or speeder bike race that you can go on that circles this whole field, but it's kind of few and far between. But then again, this is the other thing. We were playing like the opening hours of the game. So most video games that are big open world adventure games, they tend to lock a lot of the side stuff till after the first like tutorial section. So think of like The Witcher 3, White Orchard. It's pretty big. There's a lot there. But most of the game kicks off once you travel to Novigrad and once you get the world opened up to you to go to like Skellige, and there's just so much more that opens up there. So again, it's just important to remember where we were at in terms of the story when we did these preview events. The cities are much denser. The towns are much denser than I was expecting. There's lots of NPCs walking around. The little games are always kind of interesting in these games because they can either be a total afterthought or they become a fresh obsession for you. And in this, you can play this card game and you can even use Nyx to help you. So if you're sitting at the table, Nyx can run under the table, peek up, look at the cards in the hand of the other player, and then run back under the table and tell you, which is just kind of like a fun little thing. And it makes sense because again, the whole theme of the game is that you're an outlaw, you're a scoundrel, and so you can do that. But it's one of those things where like she's an outlaw and scoundrel, but she's still a good person at her core. You, as far as I'm aware, you're not able to really ever do anything like truly messed up, which for me was kind of disappointing because I was hoping that you could come in and like just be the worst person ever. You know, like you find somebody out and about in a big field like this, you're riding along. Maybe there's a man screaming for help. My child, he's up in a tree and there's animals and aliens attacking him. Save him, please. I think it would be interesting if they're like, oh yeah, no, you can shoot, like walk up and shoot him and then rob him and leave the kid. You know, like if you're going to play as an actual scoundrel, let's play as a scoundrel. But instead it's like, you know, Disney Plus scoundrel, where it's like, you're a bad person, but it's because you're misunderstood. Yes, you did rob from these people, but they were rich anyways. So really it didn't matter. Meanwhile, the stories are being greenlit by, you know, millionaires and billionaires. And you're like, dry up, dude. You're not fooling anyone. But, you know, they've got more pictures of this. The game is freakishly beautiful. It's why that 10-minute clip of gameplay, do they have that here? I don't see it. That 10-minute clip of gameplay from IGN was so jarring to everybody, even those who had seen the game before, because it was so opposite of what we had seen before. What we've seen before when we played the game was stuff like this. Very, very beautiful landscapes and very, very polished. And that gameplay was not either of those things. So it was very, very surprising. But in my experience, this is what the game has to offer. I mean, at this point, we're going to find out in what, a week and a half, 2 weeks, probably, what the actual final version of the game is like. But what I saw was very beautiful. This is Kijimi. This is the snow planet. It's, in my experience, I've only done one mission here. Basically how they split it up was like 3 hours over here on Tashara. So we played 3 hours there. We played another hour on Kijimi. When we were at Summer Game Fest, I also did the same mission on Kijimi. So I've played through the main mission here twice, as far as I'm aware. And the levels that we went through were pretty narrow. I mean, it's basically everything you can see here. It's like you run over here, go in here. You run up to the hill, there's the little palace, go there. Then you run back there, you steal something from those guys, bring it back up here. It was all fairly small, so I don't know how big Kijimi is, but at least what I've seen is far smaller than something like Tashara or something like that. It's a very, very small place in comparison. The races are probably the most interesting thing that stuck out to me, just because the demoist that was helping me was saying how, again, the theme of being a scoundrel or an outlaw or whatever, there's going to be a lot of things in this world where if you pay attention, you can use it to your advantage to screw over other people elsewhere. So for example, with these races, he said that there's information that can be gathered from various NPCs around that might have information on certain horses or riders that are going to throw it, or certain ones that are going to be selected to win, so everybody can bet and make really good money on it. You know, it sounded really interesting that, like, okay, if you're more attentive around you, you can make more money in these races. I know some people said that Skillup was saying it was tied to like the weight of the horses or something. I know they're not horses, the alien horses. They're basically alien horses. Maybe that's one of the like standards that applies to it. I'm not sure. When I looked back through my gameplay, the fattest horse would sometimes win. Other times it was the lightest horse. Other times it was a mid-weight horse. So it didn't seem like that was the only metric. But it's just a little mini game where you go into these little bars and you can bet money. It would normally be totally up to chance if you were literally just guessing at it. But if you pay attention to NPCs around and other information, you could potentially even get an inside scoop on which one is most likely to win, and then start just printing money, which is kind of a cool concept. Yeah, this big area, this is probably the widest shot I've seen of Kijimi, but this is kind of a reflection of at least what I've experienced with it. If Tashara, I mean, you remember the huge open fields and stuff. Massive, massive map. Kijimi seems to be very, very tight cities for you to explore, or a single very tight city for you to explore, and that's about it. Tatooine, as far as I'm aware, nobody's gotten their hands on any of this. Nobody's seen it, and I expect this to also be a very large map to explore, because they even show like Jabba's palace and stuff. So I would imagine that this is a place where It's probably a little bit later in the game that you're going to spend a lot of time there, but Joel Raptor was also saying that they're going to totally open it up as well. Once you get past basically the starter planet on Toshara, you unlock the whatever jump drives for your ship, and then it's totally open. If you want to go to Tatooine, you can go to Tatooine. If you want to go to Kijimi, you can go to Kijimi. But there's going to be certain quests that'll take you in a certain route. But if you want to go anywhere, you can just go anywhere, which is interesting. And then they show some other stuff, you know, old, whatever this is called. I can never remember the name of this thing. There's like an old Lego set of it, but I can never remember the name of it. But whatever this is, you know, there's that. There's all sorts of little quests with it. So I think what's particularly interesting about Star Wars Outlaws is that there's a lot of people, at least from what I can tell, that are very excited for it and are keeping an eye on it, but are being very private about it too. And I think it's because there's been a lot of scandal and negativity and stuff caught up with it, attempted scandals and then other legitimate scandals. And I just think people are exhausted with it. And so people have just started to not say anything. And they just keep it quiet. But I'm actually expecting that game to sell surprisingly well. Because again, Star Wars is, people forget, Star Wars is big. Assassin's Creed is probably still bigger in the video game space, but I think that one's gonna be big. People are like, yeah, I'll check it out. And as long as reviews are good, it'll be okay. If it reviews at like 6 out of 10s, yeah, no, then it's screwed. But if it's reviewing in like the 8.5 range, I think it's going to pop off and sell pretty well, especially once we hit like the Black Friday season and Christmas and stuff. It might not blow up the first week, but it's going to pop off during those sales and stuff. Because even the people that are like, it looks fine. If it goes on sale, because let's be honest, it's Ubisoft, it's probably going 50% off Black Friday. A lot of those people are going to buy it. A lot of those people will still buy it. Reviews will be fixed. Oh damn it! I need that Dana White clip.
That's fucking illegal.
No, it's why it's always so funny when people throw it out. It's like you realize what you're accusing them of is like very serious, and if you have evidence of it, like class action lawsuits, we're making millions. We're making millions. He took my thing.